Well, hello students. This is Professor Krause, and I will be leading our course Pastoral Theology for this second session of the summer. It is the first time I've been able to teach this course, and I am very, very excited to be able to teach it. I wish that this was in person, but as I'm going to talk about a little bit later, I'm hoping to at least have some online discussion sessions that we could do for extra credit that would allow us to be able to hop online and discuss some of the things we're reading and learning about, and even issues that we are encountering in ministry. I am 42 years old. I live in King, North Carolina, which is right outside of Winston-Salem, where Carolina University sits. I have been pastoring as a senior pastor now for about 10, 11 years. I was a youth pastor for 13 years at the church that I'm currently pastoring now. So I've had the opportunity to serve children and youth and families, and now work as a pastor, pastor a normal size rural church, and again, just very excited to be able to lead this course. Throughout the course, I'll be sharing some more about myself and family and education and things like that. But for the sake of this opening introduction and lecture, we're just looking at the syllabus, and hopefully I can explain it well enough that it will answer all of your questions. If not, please do not hesitate to reach out and let me know what you need further clarification on. So this course is going to be running from June 24th all the way into August. It is only 7 weeks long, which in the summer means it's going to go by even quicker. There is around 1,000 pages of reading on top of your little two-page assignments throughout the course, and so it's enough work that if you fall behind or try to wait to the very end, it is not going to be a very fun experience. So if I could plead with you to set aside 2 to 3 hours a week for the reading and the writing, whether it just be a day, just carve it out, block it, don't let anything interrupt it. I think you are going to do great. It will give you a chance to actually read the material, to interact and to meditate on some of the ideas that you may or may not agree with, and then have enough time to write and work on the discussion forums and the papers that are going to be due. So, again, my name is Philip Krause Jr., and there is my phone number. I do answer my email much quicker than I do text and phone numbers that I don't know who they're from. And so if you email me, usually outside of something going on, I'm going to get back to you within the first 24 hours just to let you know, answer your questions, that sort of thing. And let's jump in. This course, the idea is to look at the practical and biblical foundations of pastoral ministry. What does it look like according to the Bible and history to be a pastor? What does that mean? And then what are the practical applications of pastoring in the 21st century? We're going to give special attention, in light of everything going on in our world, how pastors can guard themselves, the dangers, our weaknesses, those sorts of things, and the call to preach and teach and care for our congregations and how that builds them up. Here are the 5 objectives we're going to be seeking to accomplish by the end of the course. Explain pastoral ministry from a biblical perspective, rather than starting with what the world or even business type model of pastoral ministry. When we dive into one of our books, Shepherds After My Own Heart, this is a very academic book. It is not a easy super duper laid back read. It's very technical, but it is very, very helpful for understanding all the ins and outs of what the Bible says about shepherding, leadership, pastoral ministry. It is a great, great foundational book for that. 2, you will be able to develop a philosophy of pastoral ministry. That's going to be one of your assignments. You're going to be able to think through the nature of pastoral ministry, and then based on your own convictions and beliefs, write out a philosophy of ministry, which I hope follows you for many, many decades of ministry. 3, what are the responsibilities of a pastor? What does that look like in different contexts? 4, recognize important differences between biblical and worldly leadership. Some of what we find in the world is very applicable to pastoral ministry. Some of it is not very helpful, can actually take away from what the Bible actually says about pastoral ministry. And then finally, be able to hopefully care for yourselves, your families, and your congregation. Because when we talk about pastoral theology, there is a very practical application to what does it mean to be a pastor? How can we carry out our responsibilities? Looking at, the idea that if you are not healthy, you're never going to be able to take care of your church family the way that God has set you apart to do. The 4 books that you are going to be using, let's see, you got a book that I wrote. Certainly not as good as these other ones, but I hope it fills a niche of what it means to be a pastor. So Shepherds on Guard. You're going to be reading The Pastor's Ministry, Biblical Priorities for Faithful Shepherds. That's going to cover just very basic ideas which we're going to build on of what does it actually mean to be a pastor. This is your academic book for the semester, Shepherds After My Own Heart. And as I just said, it's going to be pulling from the imagery from the Old Testament, New Testament, and explaining what pastoral ministry should be and what it is according to the Bible. And then finally, I've got a paperback copy, but you do not have to buy it. Brothers, we are not professionals. So all 4 of these books are very, very different. This, in the end, might be one of my favorite books on pastoral ministry. Just a reminder that we are not called to be professional in the way that others are called to be professionals. Now, you can buy this, you can buy a Kindle version, or you can go on desiringgod.org, look under resources, and you can download for free. You can even download and upload it to your Kindle or your iPad or whatever you have electronic books on. It is entirely free. You can download it and print it off. If you want to have our own PDF, and that's for, I believe, almost everything on Desiring God like that is for free. And so that, as I'm going to get to in a coursework in just a moment, is going to serve a special purpose when it comes to your assignments. So those are your 4 required textbooks. As master's students, we're looking at close to about 1,000 pages of reading, and these books hit that mark or close enough to it on top of some of the Bible that we're going to be reading. So let's see here. Let's keep on going. Let's get to what y'all are really wanting to know as you dive in. Course requirements and assignments. First, reading. Reading. We are not just reading for the sake of reading and check a box, but we are hoping that this will spur on our understanding of pastoral ministry and that God would use it to help us be better equipped. There is going to be a reading quiz every week, all the way through week 7. That is going to needs to be completed by 11:30 on Sunday night. It is going to consist of one question. I completed all of this week's reading, true or false. Now, this is very important. If you have a rough week or just a very, very busy week and you need an extension, I would rather you ask for an extension and me grant it to you than number one, you lie about it and just check yes even though you've not done it already, or B, you check no, false, you've not read all the week and you take a 0 for that week. So this is just a matter of accountability. There are going to be certain weeks that you're going to see where you're going to have 100 150 pages of reading. It's only 7 weeks, so it's hard to get in 1,000 pages of reading. But there's going to be other weeks towards the end where you're not going to have as much. And so, it's kind of front loaded because we got to get the conversation started and the reading started. So reading each week. Number 2, weekly discussion forum position post. That is way too many words just to say you're going to pick a position and you're going to argue for it. And you're going to have 7 weeks of doing this. This is going to cover, will serve as your attendance plus a grade. And this is kind of what the administration is pushing for, rather than just hey, I watched the videos, here's your attendance grade, actually attaching something to it. So each week as you're reading, and then based on our lectures for the week, I'm pulling out one of the main ideas and asking you to choose a position and then argue for it. 500 to 700 words. Now, it's about a page. I'm looking for clear, deep biblical thinking on the assigned topic. I'm not going to take off or give you credit based on you agreeing with me. I want you, there might be positions where you are right and I'm wrong, but I want you to be able to understand an issue and argue for it well from the Bible. So, for example, if you post in week 1, how important is calling to pastoral ministry, right? Now, there are lots of different positions on that. And even our books are not exactly going to dive completely into it. We're going to talk about it, in the lectures for week 1. But I'm interested in knowing that you can think through the issue. And so you're going to take up the issue and say, I do not believe that calling is that important to pastoral ministry, and then you're going to have to argue for that. This gives you opportunity each week to think deeply, at least, about one issue and put into words. But I want to see the Bible as your main foundation. You can quote books, which is good and helpful, and even your own opinion matters. But if you have a very deep conviction about whether calling is important or not, or what even calling is, then you need to be able to back it up biblically and not just from something else. So, week 1, calling. Week 2, guarding your holiness. Week 3, what is faithful preaching? What is it not for? What does it mean to care for our congregation? 5, what are 2 dangers that pastors face? 6, how can pastors lead the way in faithful disciple making? And 7, what is pastoral leadership and how is it different from worldly leadership? So these are very practical issues, aren't they? They're things that we're going to wrestle with and live out for the rest of our lives in ministry. So these are going to be graded, but also serve as your attendance. And so they have to be turned in by Sunday night so I can upload your attendance grade, attendance. And these should be done after the lectures. So I should say that. Watch the lectures, which will be posted hopefully the end of each week, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'll have all week to watch them and go from there. A book report. Because I think it's one of the most practical books on preaching and pastoral ministry, book report. Each student will read Brothers We're Not Professionals and submit a 2-page single-space book report covering. Very, very basic. It doesn't even say that in here, but I'll remind you as we get closer. Do a brief paragraph of introduction to what Piper is trying to accomplish in it. Then you're going to go over 3 strengths, 1 weakness. 1 weakness doesn't mean that the book has a glaring weakness. It could be just something that you wish that you disagree with, or something you wish that he would have covered, something like that. I believe there are some different reprintings of this too, so this is not even the most up-to-date of the one, so yours might look different. This is from 2002. And then 3 ways you're going to apply the book to your ministry. That's showing that you understand that and know how to apply it to your own ministry. That's going to be due in about 5 weeks. Philosophy of ministry, as I've already talked about, and we're going to talk about in the course. develop a one-page single-space paper describing the philosophy of pastoral ministry. So it's going to cover your convictions regarding the purpose and responsibilities of pastoral ministry. It's almost like I stand on this philosophy of ministry, and this is going to guide me for all my years of ministry. Number 5. There's lots of different large assignments we could do in the course, but since you're going to be doing so much writing on positions and book report, I thought this would be a lot more practical and helpful. Each of you are going to come up with 8 questions to use in an interview with 2 different pastors that you do not currently serve with. Now, these questions are pretty open-ended. They have to be related to pastoral ministry and the major themes, but major themes, we're going to cover a ton of them. So maybe it is calling and holiness and preaching and those sorts of things, missions, prayer. You are going to interview these 2 pastors. Again, you can know these pastors, but these are not pastors that you serve with alongside church or that you used to serve with. These are pastors you might know of, but you don't really know that well. And then you're going to interview them with these 8 questions. You're going to then summarize their answers, put them in your own words to kind of cover what they believe, and then you're going to interact with those answers. You may agree, disagree, or further elaborate on what they answer. So, for example, you might ask them a question, in the church that you pastor, what are the primary ways that you seek to make disciples? And so maybe they come back at you with, the primary way we try to make disciples is every month we get together and we knock on doors in our neighborhood and try to share Jesus with them. And maybe you have a very strong reaction to that, like this is something you do, or you really agree that's very helpful in reaching the lost and then being able to bring them into church. Or maybe you disagree, right? Again, this is not about... sometimes, even especially as students, and this is a warning to you. Sometimes we can want to just have a critical spirit about us, where no matter what they answer, we're going to be able to find something wrong. That is not the goal of this interview and report. It is to hear perspectives from 2 different pastors based on your own philosophy of ministry, and then you're going to kind of interact with it, where some things you might agree, certain things you might disagree, certain things you might further elaborate because you think that they've gone to a certain point but they need to go further. I'm going to provide, in a couple weeks, I'm going to come up with an interview sheet that will allow you to kind of, just stay within the framework of what you're trying to do. This is going to be single space because, after 8 questions and 2 different pastors, you're going to need 4 pages. If you need to go a little bit further, longer, that's perfectly fine. But this is going to be due towards the very, very end of your semester. I thought about doing an assignment on preaching, but since it's pastoral ministry, I thought that these pastor interviews and report would be more in line. You can go heavy on questions and preaching if you want to. But, all right, course schedule. So, each week's going to be different. You're going to have different amounts of reading, different books that you're reading, and different amounts of lectures and what they're covering. I'm going to try to follow these main headings. The assigned reading is what's going to be on the reading quizzes, meaning, for example, week 1 right here, if week 1 you log in to take your quiz, I have completed all of the reading, this is what I mean. Have you read Ezekiel, John, Acts 20, and Shepherds After My Own Heart, chapters 1 through 5? If you have, then you do true. You've done that. The second week, look, you got more reading. Week 1's pretty light. Week 2, you've got, about 7 chapters of reading. Some of them are shorter than the others. Some of them are not, but they're covering this main theme. Each week there's a different theme. For example, week 1, pastoral ministry in the Bible. If you remember your discussion form, you're going to be writing on calling. So not only am I going to cover some of the chapters in this book and what we find in both the Old and New Testament about pastoral ministry, but I'm also going to touch on the idea of calling because I think it's a good topic to start off with. How are pastors called? Do you have to feel a special call? If so, what does that look like? Is it biblical? Is it helpful? All those sorts of things. Week 2 is going to be the character of a pastor. We could spend a whole course on the character of a pastor, but we'll cover some biblical passages, reading some from my book and the other Shepherds After My Own Heart, and then Croft's The Pastor's Ministry. Week 3, preaching and teaching. Week 4, caring for your congregation. So we're looking now at sort of these are the primary ways that we engage in pastoral ministry. We preach and teach and pray, and we care for our people. We shepherd them. Dangers in ministry, evangelism, discipleship, and missions, and pastoral leadership. So these are the main themes that we are going to be covering and that I'm going to be looking at in my lectures. Some weeks we might have 2 lectures. Some week we might have 3 or 4. It's really going to depend on how much time is needed to cover the material well on top of the reading. I'm also not just going to record a lecture just to record a lecture. If I can cover an idea in another lecture or it needs its own lecture, then I'm going to do so accordingly. But the idea is we're supposed to have it by Friday. This software that we use sometimes is kind of not very cooperative, and so my goal is to, by Friday night, Saturday morning, have all of them recorded and hopefully uploaded, and I will keep you up to date in our forum if you need more time. If I need more time, let's see. Let me just briefly say, AI, you've probably heard this in all your courses now and even thought about it in pastoral ministry when it comes to writing sermons and things like that. AI can be a great tool at times as long as it does not become our work itself, where we're trying to pass off something that was done by AI as our own work. Don't do it. We have detectors on some of our software. It's going to alert us. It's going to call into question integrity. So just be very, very careful if you're going to attempt to use it at all. Here are the weights for each of the assignments. Here's the course assessment, what it's trying to cover, course objectives, and for your, get here to the end, for your own pleasure, let's see, very, very end, we've provided a bibliography. This is very, very short. If I could, give you 15 pages of books that are on pastoral ministry that are good and helpful, but those are some extra ones. If you get bored or after this course you want to continue reading on a certain subject, those are the ones I would go to. So, as soon as possible, make sure you have your books. Go ahead and start your reading. You can even read ahead. You can start working on those posts. And expect that I'm going to be posting these lectures. Now, with that being said, sorry I should have already had this up already. Let me log in here so you can see here on the screen. All right, now this is, let's see, students, change the view because my view of this is different than yours. All right, so to find these lectures each week, now if you found this one, then obviously you already found it. You're going to go under your resources, okay? And under your resources on these bookmarks, it's going to be broken up into week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, 6, and 7. And each week's lectures are going to be posted under that. That's what you're going to watch each week before you go in and do your attendance discussion post and before you take your reading quiz. As soon as you're done with the lectures, you can go ahead and take your reading quiz. When it comes to handouts or resources, these are just things that I might post from time to time that I might be reading or something that's helpful. Let's see. I am also hoping, as I mentioned, I'm hoping to at least twice during the semester, and this is absolutely not mandatory because this is an online course, but I'm hoping to set up a Google Meet for all of us to get together. I'm probably going to set up a quiz that would say what times are best. It'd probably be like a Monday night or a Thursday night or something like that. And if you can participate, that's great. If not, again, it's not required, but it's going to be extra credit. If the time I pick is not work for you, then the way that you would get extra credit is to post in a discussion forum, add thoughts to what we discussed on it. But the whole idea is for us to put a face with a name, to be able to interact with each other, to ask some good questions, to even pray for each other and the ministry that we are currently in. And so even that right there would be posted under our bookmarks. So in case you can't be on one of them, but you want to watch back and see what it's for or get the extra credit, we'll do that. So if you have news and announcements is where I'm going to post everything. So every couple of days, even as you log in to watch stuff, I would check this. This is where I'm going to be like, hey, all your lectures are posted, or hey, I need an extra day because the software is not working. Reminders about assignments, that sort of thing is going to be found there. Now, your coursework is not completely uploaded, but as you can see now, discussion forum. So week 1 discussion forum. This is after you watch the lectures and you are ready to answer about calling. You are going to click on this right here and then visit the week 1 discussion board topic. Now, when you log on this week, it is actually going to show. It's saying that there's no it's not available. Oh, because it's not inside the course. But anyway, let's see. You're going to go in here and you're going to click on week 1 discussion board, find your way, and it's going to be a post. It's going to be the question, which can be found in your syllabus anyway, but the question, is calling important for pastoral ministry? And that's this. Then you're going to write, type out your name and then go into it and explain what you believe. For your reading quiz is going to be up here, and then later on as you get into the semester, you're going to see like your book report, philosophy, ministry, and things like that. So that is really it for what I have for you. If you have any questions, need further elaboration, also real quick before I forget, when it comes to your interview sheet, that will also be posted in handouts once that's ready, and that'll be, in a few weeks I'll have that up. So thank you for your time. Look forward to this semester. If you ever have any sort of feedback, let me know. You can post it on the YouTube channel where these videos run, or you can email me. Look forward to hearing from you, and have a great rest of the week. God bless.